Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Market Forecast, brought to you by Options University. This is Butch Shorrock. It's Monday, March 10th, 2014. Access to this video is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing contained in this video, website, or promotional material constitutes promotion, recommendation, solicitation, or offer of any particular investment security or transaction. Options University provides educational services that are meant to teach you the risks and rewards of trading stocks and options, and we're not a service that tells you what to trade. We're not implying or guaranteeing any profit, and as always, do not trade with money that you cannot afford to lose. Let's take a look and see what kind of economic announcements we have this coming week to see what effect they can have on the overall market. It is a bit of a sparse week as we look at the overall week. On Monday, we basically have no big announcements coming, nothing really of any interest coming on Tuesday. As a matter of fact, when we look at Wednesday, still nothing that really is going to move the overall market. Then finally, we hit Thursday. We've got jobless claims at 8:30, retail sales at 8:30, import and export prices at 8:30. The last two being monthly reports, and the first one being a weekly report that we get each and every Thursday morning. Business inventories will now hit us at 10 o'clock as Thursday ends up being the blockbuster of the week. And then finally on Friday, we have the PPI and consumer sentiment coming out at 9:55 a.m. These announcements at the end of the week are certainly announcements that the market is interested in. Looking at the SPX for the last week, what kind of a trend did we have? How did that trend continue? Well, we continued our uptrend as we broke out into new highs with the 30 above the 50, above the 200-day moving average. As we see, we're well above that 30-day moving average as we've gone into new highs. Looking at a closer look at the market, looking at a one-month chart, we see that on Monday we had a bit of a consolidation day after our breakout on Friday. And then Tuesday, things popped right up with big news and moved forward as we ended up at the high close of all time, 1878.04 for the SPX. Looking at our laggard, the Dow, which has not kept up with the overall market, so headed for new highs. There we are with the Dow. It's at a resistance point here, as we can see from some of the noise that we had earlier in the quarter as we go towards the first of the year. And we see that we're headed toward that previous high. And if the market keeps moving, we will see that high broken out here shortly, as the Dow is a bit of a laggard from the S&P. Looking at the NASDAQ, which is certainly one of our leaders, we'll look at the NASDAQ and we'll see that we're at an all-time highs. We did have a bit of a pullback on Friday, but we certainly, for the week, did break into that all-time high area for the NASDAQ. Looking at the Russell 2000, also one of our leaders for the year, we see that it also has moved forward, giving us that big pop on Tuesday, consolidating the rest of the week, taking some of those gains and showing us that it consolidate and ready to move forward. A little bit away from the 30-day moving average, could see a bit of a pullback. Have the 30 again crossed above the 50 as we got that bullish cross taking place with the 30 above the 50, above the 200. So with that fact, the overall markets are looking healthy, heading for new highs. That old rule, don't fight the Fed, holds. What's the VIX tell us? Well, we got a little bit higher reading out of the VIX as we're at 14 rather than that area where we were hanging in that 12 previously in the year. So we see when we have our little pullbacks, we pop up to that 22 area, and then it just kind of heads back into our area where there's a lot of confidence in the market, brought to us by the Fed, brought to almost all governments across the world as the monetary policy and economists are handling the crisis. Looking at the bonds, we see that the bond market had pulled back. We talked about this last week, that it was sitting at resistance, and it did exactly that as it pulled back to the moving average. That's the 50-day moving average. So we'll see whether we get a bounce on that as we get a kind of a congealing here of the 50 and the 200. So we'll see whether bonds kick back up into new territory, giving us a little bit of a move as we'll see what the market does. We can expect the bonds to move up as the market moves down. Next, looking at gold, we see that safe haven isn't showing any great interest, still not anywhere near some of its previous highs, down right around 15% overall. So gold not showing us that move that it once had. And finally, looking at the week and looking at the spider, we can see we've got some very specific resistance and support lines that you can draw these lines out carefully and show you exactly what kind of range we're moving in. And you see we're getting up, getting a bit of extended. Time for a little bit of a pullback as we see the market do what market does, oscillating back and forth between certain levels. So volume for the week, well, we had big volume on Tuesday, and we had a little bit more volume than we did the rest of the week on Friday, but the rest of the week looked kind of like average volume. So there were days during the week where we had higher moves as far as volume was concerned. Now, next, looking at some of our ETFs and some of our sectors, let's take a look at the financial sector, which had been lagging, and we'll see the week that we've been waiting for out of the financials as, boom, new highs, 22.37, as we saw our XLF, our ETF for the financials, moving on to new highs. Next, let's take a look at oil and see what oil has done. Looking at USO, our ETF for oil, we see we're not near our previous highs for the year. In fact, quite far off. Did have a bit of a pop-up on Thursday and Friday, and we'll see whether oil starts heading back towards some of those previous levels. For those of you that are gold members, stick around for our stocks to watch. For those of you that are not gold members who would like other free videos from Options University, you may go to www.optionsuniversity.com/free gold. So with that thought, this is Market Forecast brought to you by Options University. This is Butch Shorek. It's Monday, March 10th, 2014. Thank you for being here. Gold members, stick around.